In this video, we'll walk you through our tips on setting up your Longarm machine to help achieve perfect tension, stitch quality, and problem-free quilting. We'll discuss loading the machine correctly, maintenance tips, best practices, and our favorite products. We'll also point out things to be aware of so you can quilt all your projects with beautiful results. Before you begin quilting, we will go over on how to set up the frame. We'll be demonstrating on a handy quilter fusion. First, take a look at the Longarm. All Longarms will have 4 poles: the backing pole, the part closest to you, the quilt top pole, the inner pole closest to you, the leveler pole, and the take-up pole. The backing, quilt top, and take-up poles have a leader fabric that is firmly woven and sturdy cotton or canvas fabric that supports your own fabric. In some Longarm machines, you need to make sure that the frame that holds the frontal poles are horizontal to the frame, as some Longarm machines have a separate adjustable piece that can be utilized for dual loading preferences, standard and clear view loading. Keep in mind when using the Longarm that you'll need around an extra 3 to 6 inches of backing fabric and batting around the entire perimeter of the quilt. This allows you to have ample room to set it up on the machine and allow for a better working area. We will be pinning the backing fabric edge, right side facing down, to the backing pole leader edge. Make sure the flow of your leading and backing fabric is towards the machine. Line up the backing fabric edges and start pinning from the center point to one side first, then to the other side and pin the edges. When finished, roll the backing pole towards you, keeping the quilt square to the Longarm as you smooth out any wrinkles or creases. After you have finished pinning and smoothing, take your backing fabric underneath the backing, quilt top, and leveler poles. Bring the fabric up to the other side of the take-up pole, line up the backing fabric and the take-up pole's leader fabric, straight edges. Take your batting, right side facing up, and put it in between the backing and quilter top poles. Smooth and flatten out on top of the backing fabric. Bring the quilt top pole and put it in the lowered notch of the pole cradles. In this video, we have a smaller quilt sample that we demonstrate on. So the next step is a little bit different in comparison to bigger quilts. However, the same steps apply to the quilt top, just like the steps for loading the backing fabric. The difference is that it will be set up on the quilt top leader instead. For our small sample, place the quilt top onto the batting. This is called the full float method. With the quilt top pulled down, adjust the frame tension to your preference. Put down the bricks at the pole frames to make sure your work cannot be shifted while working. Then use the side clamps to ensure your workspace is stabilized. In our video, we will be demonstrating with our thread called Master Quilter. Master Quilter is a 40-weight, 3-ply cottonized polyester thread, your go-to thread to use when longarming. This thread is soft, lint-free, and stitches perfectly at high speeds, making it ideal to quilt on the longarm. We highly recommend this thread for anyone who is beginning to quilt or just needs a reliable quilting thread they can count on. We also recommend pairing this thread with our pre-wound bobbins, which we will also use in this video. Our bobbins are pre-wound with DecoBob, an 80-weight, 2-ply cottonized polyester thread, which is incredibly strong and greatly minimizes bulk with pieced works. DecoBob and Master Quilter work beautifully as a team, and will give you a high quality stitching and machine tension. Thread your spool on the side vertical stand, onto the thread mast, through the guide hooks, moving it through the 3-hole thread guide by putting the thread from the back to the front of the first hole, bring it around to the back, then to the front of the second hole, and repeat for the third hole. Go around the tension disc knob and pull the thread up firmly. Catch the tension spring by going up and over and go underneath the small metal bar. Bring the thread up and through the take-up guide and lead the thread down through the needle clamp hole. Then put it through the needle eye hole. To install your bobbin, take note to clean off the lint on the inside and outside of the case. Oil your bobbin casing area with the maintenance toolkit provided with every machine. You should do this every time you change the thread. This is to prevent future tension errors, loops, or built-up threadness in your backing fabric. With some long arms, you can adjust your line weight or stitch with the press of a button. There will be a tension knob at the head of the machine which you can twist clockwise for higher tension and counterclockwise for lower tension. Depending on your choice of thread, you may need to take time to adjust this step for optimal results. To unload the long arm, simply take off the clamps and unpin the take-up pole side. Cut the batting, making sure to not cut the backing fabric. Then, make a straight guide line on the backing fabric and cut. Trim the excess batting to finish. You can now begin your sewing journey with your newfound long arm knowledge. We highly recommend to experiment and get familiar with the machine before applying it to your work. We hope this video encourages experimentation and expands the borders of your creativity. Tune in for our next video as we will be discussing the different techniques and accessories you can utilize to achieve your creative vision. Tell us in the comments below what other kinds of WonderFil basic videos you'll love to see next. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you like this video and hit subscribe for more great tips and tutorials. We'll see you all next time.